Hello, students. Mr. Walker here with a read aloud. We are going to learn today about the life cycle of frogs. El ciclo de vida de las ranas. And the question that we're going to answer today is, how do adult frogs make new baby frogs? ¿Cómo hacen las ranas adultas nuevas ranas? A life cycle, as you can see in this picture, are the stages or steps of the life of a plant or an animal. Can you say stages? Good. Stages. Stages means the steps. Here you can see a life cycle of a human. Where do you think the life cycle or the stages of life of a human start? I bet many of you think it starts right here with the baby. But really, the life cycle of humans, of people, starts with the adults, because adults make the baby. So the adult couple makes a baby, the baby grows up and becomes a toddler. Toddler doesn't really translate very well to Spanish, but you could just call it niño, niña. Then the toddler grows up into a child grows up into a teen, or the fancy word is adolescent, means the same thing as teen, in español, adolescente. And a teen grows up to become an adult, and once you're an adult, you can make babies. In the life cycle of a frog, the life cycle again starts with adult frogs. And adult frogs mate to make and lay eggs. The eggs hatch, and out of the eggs hatch a tadpole. Can you say tadpole? Good. In Spanish, renacuajo. Tadpole, here it says tadpole with legs. When they first start out, as you can see right here in this tiny little picture, tadpoles don't start with legs. But eventually, they grow 2 legs as a tadpole, and then they grow 4 legs. And you can see they still have a tail when they have 4 legs, and that's something in English that we call a froglet. Can you say froglet? Good. Froglet in Spanish, you might call it ranita or renacuajo con 4 patas. And a froglet grows up and becomes an adult frog. And once a frog is an adult, it can mate and make new frogs and lay eggs. Here's some vocabulary words that you're going to find in the book we're about to read. This is a group of frog eggs, and that has a special name called frog spawn. Can you say frog spawn? Good. Una masa de huevos de rana. That's the group of eggs. And frogs are a special kind of animal called amphibian. In Spanish, anfibios. And what that means is that they live both, or ambos, and that am from ambos is the same as in amphibian, and it means both. They can live on both the land and in the water. That's what kind of animal frogs are. So now that we've reviewed those words, we're going to start our read aloud. Hi again, you can see my picture. It's called The Life Cycle of a Frog. Nope, and I'm going to disappear again because we're going into full screen. So as we're reading this book, I want you to pay attention to the steps or the stages in the cycle, because in the next lesson, you're going to use sequence words in English to help you describe the life cycle of a frog in sentences. Here's the table of contents. What are frogs? The egg stage, the tadpole stage, and the adult stage. Frogs are amphibians that live near ponds, lakes, and rivers. They spend their lives on land and in the water, and that's what the word amphibian means. They can live both in the land and the water. Frogs grow in stages or steps. The stages of a frog's life cycle are egg, tadpole, froglet, and adult. 4 big steps. The life cycle begins in spring. A male frog croaks a song. Croak is the sound that a frog makes. Rabbit. A female chooses him as a mate. And a mate is a partner, like a mother and a father, or, 2 parents can come together and mate to make babies. The same thing with frogs. You need a male frog and a female frog. The female lays thousands of eggs in the water. The male fertilizes the eggs. The mass of eggs is called spawn. Clear jelly surrounds each egg in the spawn. A black dot in the middle of an egg. Oops, I made a mistake, so I'm just going to go back and fix it. A black dot is in the middle of an egg. The dot grows into a tiny curl. That means it's something that twists or is curvy. The curl becomes a tadpole. The tadpole is ready to hatch. It breaks through the egg and wiggles into the water. The tadpole has a long tail for swimming. It grows gills for breathing underwater. The tadpole grows teeth. It uses the teeth to scrape algae off plants for food. Can you say algae? Good. Algae are tiny microscopic plants. They're super small plants that live in the water and on the plants in the water. And that's what tadpoles eat. They eat plants. The tadpole grows bigger. It now has lungs instead of gills. It must swim to the surface or top of the water to breathe. You take a deep breath now with me. We just used our lungs to breathe. The tadpole has 2 long back legs with webbed feet. And I'm going to zoom in over here, and can you see how they have fingers or toes on their feet, just like we do have toes and fingers. But the webbed part means the connection in between those different fingers. How there's a skin connecting the fingers, and that helps the tadpole and the frog to swim quickly in the water. The shorter front legs grow inside the tadpole's body. The legs poke through the tadpole's skin when they are fully grown. The tadpole climbs out of the water and hops onto the shore. That's the land. It is now a young frog. Do you remember what a young frog is called? If you said froglet, you're correct. The frog's tail gets shorter and shorter. One day it is gone. The tail has become part of the body. The adult frog has big eyes and a wide mouth. It snaps out its long tongue to catch insects to eat. The frog lives mostly on land now. Sometimes it dives into the water to cool off. Can you think of some other reasons that frogs might dive into the water? Tell somebody next to you, or maybe a stuffed animal. Why else do you think frogs will jump into water? Those are some good ideas. In a few years, the frog finds a mate. Each egg in their spawn is the start of a new life cycle. And that's the thing about life cycles, is life cycles go in circles because you start from an adult, the adult lays eggs or somehow makes baby frogs or people or plants, and then those have stages or steps in growing up to become adult, and they do the same thing. They follow the same cycle all over again. What did you learn about frogs today? I hope you learned a lot. I'll see you in the next lesson.